alongside my partner, Max Agress. Stanford took the first one yesterday in an exciting 5 sets for their first win of the season. Also the first loss of the season for UCSB. Plenty of adjustments on the way. And we are underway here. Great effort.
Great big swing right there on the left side.
That's off the video board, and the first point of the evening will go to the Cardinal.
It's going to be really interesting to see both these teams take on each other on back-to-back nights. You got to factor in fatigue, and you got to also factor in the X's and O's that you pick up once you play a team in such a consecutive fashion.
Luke McFall at the service line for the Cardinal. One of the starters among Kamana Carrera, Moses Wagner, Teo Snooey, Jacob Little-Phillips got his first start at setter yesterday. Evan Porter and Alex Rotman with Kai Schmidt as libero. Big time lefty swing there from the Gauchos. We saw that yesterday. We're tied up at 1.
Expect to see power, power, power. Both these teams just want to drill that ball. It doesn't matter if there's a block in front of you. They're going to send it at 100%.
Setter Cole Schobel at the line for Santa Barbara. Starter alongside Ben Pearson, Dylan Pilkvist, Jason Walmer, George Bruning, Josh Aruya, Joe Wallace, the libero, and Riggs Guy.
Carrera with the kill right there, and that's exactly what the Cardinal need to do. They're hitting about 296 on the year up to this point. It's a young season, of course, but getting in system, getting within your offense early is going to be one of the key differences to see between this matchup and the last one.
And that's been something they're dealing with as well this weekend. A service error into the net for the Cardinal ties it back up at 2. 21 service errors apiece yesterday. Both sides being incredibly aggressive at the service line. Now it's Riggs Guy on the Gaucho side.
81 on the year for Santa Barbara, and that's the 72nd on the year for Stanford.
Snooey tools the block, and it's Stanford lead once again.
It's going to be really interesting to see how they get involved in these back row attacks. Obviously, you have a lot of power that can be driven from that back row attack, and if they can go ahead and collect those hands time and time again on a consistent fashion, that'll be a big factor on who has the advantage tonight.
Snooey, the returning All-American honorable mention from last year. Rotman with the serve. Schobel steps it up. Back set to Bruning. Perfectly executed.
They fed Bruning quite a bit in that last matchup. 50 total attempts to his 12 kills. 10 errors on that. He ended up hitting 0.04, so 4% overall. Stanford did a really good job yesterday limiting some of the action from Bruning. He's getting a hot start right here.
Preseason All-Big West honoree. There it was from Carrera. Free ball opportunity here. Carrera again, but a big-time dig from Pilkvist. Pearson tools it. He'll get the kill and the lead for the Gauchos.
And that's what we were talking about tempo before the match started up. Right there, a little bit slower, going about second tempo, so essentially at a medium pace rather than too fast or too slow, which would be a tempo 3, and just really just staying within your offense and getting things going with the X's and O's.
Pearson, Schobel, Bruning all have registered kills already in this one for the Gauchos. Keep an eye on Schobel, got a double-double with assists and digs. Nearly a triple-double, but a huge swing there from the Cardinal to tie it back up again.
You love to see that. Moses Wagner just straight flies during warm-ups. You can see him jump over the net and throw both his arms over essentially the 8-foot net. So no surprise to see him flying through and just pinpointing that shoulder.
Wagner with the double-double yesterday, 21 kills and 10 digs in that victory. Here's Kamana Carrera, floats it over. Over to Aruya. He had some timely kills yesterday, and here's another one.
And that's exactly what you expect to see. The number 3 recruit in the 2023 class. Aruya has so much talent and is part of the size on that front line as a 6'9" middle blocker.
Aruya along with Guy on the U21 Pan Am team winning gold, beating the host Canada this past summer. Here's Snooey with the touch. Schobel again to Bruning. Into the block! Fired up and flexing. Luke McFall's right there.
We're seeing it early on. The back row attack working for Stanford and for Santa Barbara. They're still finding their range there.
In the first 4 sets yesterday, 33 tie scores, 11 lead changes. It was very back and forth. We're seeing that early here in the first set. Here's Little Phillips. Pearson off the block. Rotman keeps it going. Over to Snooey, who finishes.
That wasn't even off the block. That was off the top of the dome. It ricocheted off the top of his head, and then just staying calm, collective. One of the keys today is going to be the communication. Yes, we understand that both these teams are so gritty and they can get after it on defense, but that communication and understanding of where that ball is going to go and who's taking it is key.
There's second service error of the evening for the Cardinal. That'll tie it back up. Right now, a match-high 2 kills for Teo Snooey. He's hitting .667 early on here.
And let's see if both sides continue with their aggressive serving, or if, as you can see a little bit with Stanford to start out, just a little bit softer, keeping this one in play.
They'll exchange the service errors, something we saw yesterday as well. The lead back on Stanford's side.
Yeah, when you look at the play-by-play of the action that happened yesterday, runs were at a premium. You had a 4-0 run at some point, but it was side out, and both the teams just trading back and forth.
Snooey goes wide, 3 consecutive, and we're tied up again.
Seems like we're going to continue the trend of yesterday. I guess there aren't too many adjustments you can make with less than 24 hours between matches.
And that is something that both teams are trying to do, be aggressive at the service line. Here's Aruya. Cross court, over to Rotman. Shut down.
A roller coaster of emotions on the face of Rotman there. After the attack, he didn't like the contact quite cleanly, and you could see in his face, and then as he saw that ball in his peripheral go out of bounds, he's like, oh, a sigh of relief.
We talked yesterday about how Jacob Little-Phillips, the freshman, getting his first start in the setter position. Doing it again today, same starting lineups for both squads. That one's gonna go wide, and it's gonna be a 2-point lead for the Gauchos.
Just a little too strong in the swing. He tried to keep it with a little bit of finesse there, but couldn't quite keep it in play. So officially, we've got a 3-0 run now for Santa Barbara.
9 serving 7. That'll fall in for the ace. Something that happened 4 times yesterday for the Gauchos. They're the first to double digits.
Second ace of this season, and not a lot of power behind that serve, just great placement alongside that back line.
Aruya, once again, the junior out of Mission Viejo. McFall trying to make it happen. Here's the setup cross court. Schobel taking a swing. Short set from the back row, just long. Biggest lead that we have seen so far. Gauchos lead by 4.
Yeah, and that's going to draw the time out of the pocket of the Gaucho, or out of Stanford right there. You can't let these runs go and happen. A 5-0 run right now as Santa Barbara's starting to take that momentum. It's really important. Just keep this one close, and you might find your way to go out and get that 5-set victory.
And yesterday it was back and forth. First set, Gauchos took it 25-22. Second set, flipped that score around. Stanford took it. In set number 3, 25-18 for UCSB, and then Stanford pulling it out, showing some momentum in set 4, 25-21, and then 17-15 in that 5th set. The pendulum is swinging back and forth all night long.
And both these coaches, very long-term coaches at their station. John Costi in his 20th season here as the Burkhofer family head coach, and on the other side, Rick McLaughlin, 17th season. Both these coaches are, fair to say, lifers at their teams.
John Costi going for his 275th win as the head coach at Stanford. In his 36th season on staff overall, he was an assistant from 1991 to 2007 here at Stanford, part of that 1997 national championship at the time, and then of course leading at the helm in 2010 in that second national championship for this Stanford squad.
It's really insane to just look across the board, see all the numbers and just the accomplishments that you're able to put together. Rick McLaughlin on the other side, 4-time Conference Coach of the Year, and they switched over to the Big West after the Big West picked up some volleyball there. Also a 2-time AVCA Coach of the Year, so that's essentially the NCAA of men's volleyball realm.
It was during a tough period, too. That was back-to-back in 2020, 2021, fighting through the pandemic. We are underway again, and there's Wagner making his presence known.
Wagner's coming out, and he's as aggressive as ever. A super high percentage, 304 on 21 kills in that last matchup. And I think you just going to want to feed your big guy on the right-hand side, one of those seniors.
It's tied for a match high 2 kills. No errors so far. Here's McFall. Schobel, cross court. Just in there on the back line. Riggs Guy, the sophomore.
That's the answer you'd love to see if you're Coach McLaughlin. Stanford came out after the timeout. They got their point. They did exactly what they wanted to do. Hey, let's take all the momentum right back there and make it 12-8.
Here's Schobel. Into the net. Second service error for UC Santa Barbara. That'll bring Stanford within 3.
Wagner into that back line to serve now as well.
Wagner at the service line. Gets the ace. Some early success at the line for the Cardinal. They're now at double digits.
Man, and Wagner's just going for blood at this point. A few shots that I thought were going to go out of bounds. He just pegs somebody in the shoulder, in the head. I mean, he's just a sharpshooter on that back line today.
That's the aggressiveness both coaches talk about. Schobel sets it up. UCSB responds.
I just want to give him his flowers one more time. The drop serve on that Wagner serve was insane. Terrific job by Santa Barbara to be able to get under it, find a way to get that dig, and obviously get the point.
A couple of aces yesterday for the Cardinal, one of them coming from Little Phillips. The other sealed the deal in the 5th set from Reed Wainwright, as that's going to go long, and Stanford's back within 2.
Both teams just so aggressive. And in men's volleyball, as opposed to women's volleyball, that jump serve is essentially a must.
This is the 5th consecutive match Stanford is going up against a ranked opponent. That obviously includes yesterday in the top 20 matchup. There's Bruning on the back line. Bruning is brewing.
I love what you did right there. I mean, just brewing on that right side, going ahead, heating up. Just wait and see if he can pay some dividends with some tasty tea.
He was the Offensive Player of the Week in the Big 12 on January 12th. Here's the setup to Wagner. Dig from Guy. Free ball opportunity. Over to Snooey, tries to push it over, runs into a wall.
Terrific read there by Aruya, just flowing alongside with it. Saw the timing was a little bit off and just blots the sun on that block.
Aruya standing at 6'9".
Yeah, and that is the heart of the block for the Gauchos, Aruya and Bruning.
Bruning at 6'10". Here's Snooey, that's off the block. Schobel sets it up, short set to Aruya, like they drew it up.
Both sides doing a good job there, going right back over to Sanui, trying to invoke some confidence with Stanford, and then on the other side, Aruya has just had a heck of a start to this match.
5-point lead for the Gauchos. Pilkvist continues at the line. Here's Wagner from the back row, that's gonna go long. Momentum stays with Santa Barbara.
With the way Wagner has been hitting tonight, they sent the triple block right his way, couldn't collect any fingers as he was attempting to touch those high hands. We were talking about the difference in Stanford obviously hoping it could go their way, but a couple 4 and 5-0 runs right now from Santa Barbara. They've been taking the momentum, and honestly, the only thing that's been stopping them up to this point has been their own service errors.
The unforced errors, something you try to control. It is a 4-0 scoring run coming into this timeout right now. And if you're head coach Rick McLaughlin, you're trying to keep your team loose, but you're talking strategy. Plenty of time that you saw this team yesterday. And that's one thing that coaches talk about as well, is it's almost like when you're playing back-to-back days like this, the same team, it's one long match in some ways. So how do you make those adjustments?
I mean, you go out there and you allow your guys to kind of reset from that last matchup. And when you come in today, you try to make it 2. You don't want it to be one long consecutive matchup and have any of the bad feelings that you had. You take that, you learn from it, and you continue to move on. It's a fresh one a day. You're looking to get out of here and get the victory in any way possible. And when you look at Santa Barbara and just some of the stats that they've got up to this point, they're hitting .538, an extremely high number, obviously, the start of the match compared to the Stanford .059. It's just been a cleaner look by the way of the Gauchos to start.
Only one error for Santa Barbara so far in this one. The efficiency has been there for the Gauchos. They lead 17-11 as we come out of the break.
Yeah, more than anything, they've just been able to play within system more than Stanford has up to this point. Stanford was a little clean early, or a little more clean, I should say, early on. And then from that point, it's been Santa Barbara invoking their will.
Tough communication there, free ball here. Schobel sets it up from the back row, executed perfectly.
The C cleared out for Guy right there in the back line. He just flew all the way through. Could swear I saw some wings off of Riggs' back.
Match high 3 kills now for Riggs Guy. 5-0 scoring run for the Gauchos. Short set to Carrera, that's in there. Stanford fights back.
Textbook answer after a long run, going highest percentage attacking, and that is with your middle blocker. Pays dividends.
Kamana Carrera had 8 kills, hit .500 yesterday. Also 5 blocks to lead the team along with 4 digs. Now in for the Cardinal, Luke Morrison at the line, the freshman from Irvine. That's gonna go long.
We've seen that with Morrison. Morrison is so aggressive with the way he sets up his serve. And obviously, it hurts to see you come in for that one play as a freshman and then immediately get booted back over the bench. But I like the resilience that he has. It's just a matter of time before he's able to dial it in.
Bruning goes long, so we'll exchange the service errors once again. 4 for the Gauchos and the same for the Cardinal. Here's Little Phillips, who had an ace yesterday. Short set to Aruya. Goes long. UCSB thinks they have the touch. No deal. Stanford gets the point. They're within 5.
Within system, but just a miss attack there by Josh Aruya. And as we see Little Phillips to that back line, it's so impressive to see kind of how these freshmen have folded into the fold for Stanford up to this point. You've seen a lot of them come into a very senior Layton squad, or upperclassman Layton squad, I should say.
Pearson gets the point.
Yeah.
Another one who hasn't started going yet, but he's got a couple kills now.
Pearson doing a great job just seeing the block very close to the rear, or the near side pin, and then forcing that ball directly into the antenna.
He'll move to the line. Redshirt junior out of Santa Cruz. The service error will give another one to the Cardinal.
And right now, you just need to stay consistent and get a little bit of momentum back on your way. By way of Stanford, not necessarily having to push super aggressively with your serve.
Snooey at the line. Senior out of Berkeley. Here's the touch. Read beautifully by Moses Wagner. His 3rd kill.
Man, Moses was flying. He went up, and before he even had the opportunity to get a block, the ball was left in front of him, and just, you could count the Mississippis he was floating.
Such a great read, such quick decision making, and there's the ace right there. Snooey adds one to the tally. They've already matched their aces from yesterday with 2.
Forcing a timeout out of the pocket of Santa Barbara. Stanford already using 2 of their timeouts. And you love to see that, just really dialing it in. You can see the focus on his eyes as he sets up for that serve, and both just the perfect placement and exactly where you want to target 2 plays in a row.
Right now, the Gauchos with the 3-point lead here in the first set. They're hitting .412 right now. Stanford at .111.
One thing to note for Santa Barbara, Schobel has 1 kill up to this point, but he's somebody that really gets everything going. He's a volleyball player that can do everything. Leads the team in digs, also leads the team in assists. Also happens to hit .400 on the on the season as well. You were talking about a lot of the action of which he was able to do yesterday, really just converting some of those out-of-system attacks into points. And it's interesting to see kind of the way that Stanford's been handling the situation and not letting him get as involved in the attacking.
Absolutely crucial for the Gauchos yesterday. Nearly pulled off the triple-double. 43 assists, 15 digs, got him that double-double, 9 kills, hitting .667 in that first game. He was absolutely an option offensively for this team.
And part of the reason he had more success than he had up to this point, obviously, early in the matchup. But a lot of the action for Santa Barbara has been within system. Stanford, when they've been getting a point, has just been set point right away. Whereas on the other side, it's been a little scrappier, and Stanford's having to play a little more out of system.
Always interesting to see who scores first, coming out of a break, coming out of a timeout. Snooey still at the line. 3-0 scoring run for the Cardinal right now. Here's Bruning. And it'll end right there. Bruning gives 21 to the Gauchos.
Wagner, one of the leaders for the Cardinals in digs with 24. And it's going to take a team effort. There's so many different players that just dive and sacrifice their body, play in and play out for the Cardinal. There wasn't quite able to get under it in time.
Aruya with the serve. Set up over to Wagner. Finds the floor just wide. 5-point lead once again for the Gauchos.
Thought there might be a block in front of him and took a really harsh angle. Wasn't able to convert there.
George Bruning, Riggs Guy leading this match with 3 kills apiece, both hitting 500. Short set. McFall, but what a dig. Touch from the back row from Bruning. Snooey with the set. Wagner tries to tool it. Pearson keeps it alive. Here's Bruning again, runs right into it. The roof comes down.
That first set in the tempo that they played at, you can't even call it zero tempo. You got to call it minus tempo. That ball was right there and hit. The read by Aruya in that situation is almost not human. And the fact that Stanford was able to steal some momentum back after that terrific dig just shows why they're still in this one despite the fact it's 22-18.
Carson Kneisel coming in to serve. The dump attempt from Schobel, but handled by the Cardinal. Wagner tools the block. Who else? He's got 3 kills tonight.
Jacob Little Phillips coming out, throwing everything his way as the setter on the other side tried to dump it on 2. Just really understanding your assignments and not allowing Schobel to get into that attacking game.
Kneisel still at the line. The setup. Beautiful angle from Riggs Guy, the sophomore.
Kneisel was in the right spot in that situation, but that's one of those things when you're that athletic and can get such a steep angle on your attack, nobody can stop it.
Match high 4 kills for Riggs Guy. He's hitting 600. Schobel at the line, 23 serving 19. There's the lefty. Solid serve. Set up from Little Phillips. Rotman, big time dig from Pearson. Here's Guy again. Off the block, gets the kill, and it's set point for the Gauchos.
When you send a triple block one way, that means somebody in the backline has to come up and cover in case something happens. A really good job flying in at the last moment for Schmidt, but wasn't quite able to get there in time.
24-19 set point for the Gauchos. Solid overpass and taking advantage. Who else but Riggs Guy? 6th kill on the night, and the first set goes to the UC Santa Barbara Gauchos, 25-19.
Gauchos running a little bit more clean on that right side, but a little bit of momentum gained back by Stanford at that end. It's going to be really interesting to see if you see this trade-off that we saw in the first matchup.
Santa Barbara hit 391 as a squad.
Aggressiveness.
It's very true. I mean, hitting 417 to finish out that first set, they're just in a rhythm. You can see that right now from the Gauchos, something that Stanford is still trying to find early on in this match. It took them a little bit yesterday to figure it out, too. The turning point really came in that 4th set, and they took that momentum into the 5th. But it's been a lot of back and forth. So if you're UCSB at this point, you would love to try to get this 2nd set early to try to minimize that 5-set situation that they like to find themselves in. We talked about 4 of the last 5 matches, I think you said.
Yeah, exactly. 3 of the last 4 matches have gone to 5 sets. The other one went 4 sets. So, you know, both these teams just fighting tooth and nail. And it just happens to be that you have such tenured coaches that know how to make those adjustments and continue to push it forward. Going to the service line is Cole Schubel. And the lefty, as you said, had quite a bit in terms of setting up everybody, and that's part of the reason why they were able to stay in system so well.
He was Big West Setter of the Week a couple weeks ago. You can see exactly why.
Kill right there by Dylan Pilkvist. And the trend continues here into the second. Stanford a little bit off, out of system with their attack, and on the other side, just a quick attack in the middle.
And it's spread out for Santa Barbara right now. There's now 6 different gauchos who have registered a kill tonight, and they did that early on in yesterday's match too, the options they have.
Yeah, it's really impressive just to see the ability for them to spread it out and not force feed one person. But when you have somebody like Moses Wagner on the right-hand side, you feel pretty comfortable force feeding your senior.
Moses Wagner has been so crucial for them. He's one of the leaders on the team, of course, coming in, upperclassmen, all of that stuff, but just his presence on the court and how calm he's stayed has been huge.
And you got to stay calm after a service error in that situation. It is now 2-1 over for the Gauchos. And really, Wagner was that lifeline that kept them alive in that last matchup, hitting 304, 21 kills on 46 attempts. Just the efficiency of what he was able to do and continued to carry on to this one, showing it off. Guy into the back line to serve for the Gauchos. Back row attacks just slightly out of pace there. And a violation called against the Cardinal will give the point over to the Gauchos.
Those are some of those unforced errors that Stanford's trying to work through. We talked about the service errors. Little moments like that, everything adds up.
Pressure of Gauchos fully on display right now. Just not anything in system to start. Finally getting your opportunity there, as there was a back row attack from Moses Wagner, but that line and that block on the left side shown strong for the Gauchos.
You know, Dylan Pilkvist was right there alongside Ben Pearson to help him out, but Pearson just at 6'2", but has solid presence at the net.
Yeah, both these teams you would think would have to play a similar style where they're using their tempo, but just a little bit more size on the net of the Gauchos has really been the advantage, and that's how you counteract it. Terrific read by Jacob Little Phillips, going on 2. Oh, it looks like he might have touched the net.
Yeah, I saw some frustration there right afterwards. A great read, also stands at 6'2", so a little more undersized than some other players and athletes that are on the court right now.
An AVCA top 25 underclassman in his time in high school. And violations galore. This time it goes the way of Stanford, so it makes it 2 serving 5. Alex Rotman, the Santa Barbara native. So we saw him in the pregame. He was talking and having a little bit of fun with some of his former teammates back in the high school rankings.
Went to Santa Barbara High School. There are 3 athletes on the roster for Santa Barbara who also went to Santa Barbara High School.
And that is a bummer right there for Rotman. Rotman usually a very steady server from that back line, about getting it in play and allowing yourself to get back in a rhythm. Unfortunately for the Cardinal, it's going to be 6 serving 2. Dylan Pilkvist, 4-year varsity player, won a CAF title back in his sophomore year. Finally an opportunity to set something up. And of course, they go to Wagner. Great dig in that back line. But it looks like it might have hit the floor, so the kill over to Moses.
Great effort, though, from Schobel on that. We talked about just what a multifaceted athlete he is. Stanford, of course, getting the point. But to know that you can have your setter not only be an offensive weapon, but someone who can show up on defense, too. I mean, what a blessing.
Second in kills in the matchup is Moses Wagner, as 5 only trailing Riggs Guy. Going right back to the middle attack. Josh Aruya has had his fingerprints all over this matchup, and it continues here in the second.
Great read, great angle. Decision making when you're mid-air like that to read the court with that vision.
George Bruning, talked about it, brewing a strong cup of coffee to start. Keeps this one in play. Opportunity to go to the back line, and it's Alex Rotman. There's that steady hand you need.
Big moment for the Cardinal. That's what they need, is some momentum too. They have the home court advantage. They have the energy here in Maples Pavilion, but they got to create it amongst themselves a little bit too. and hang on to it.
And that's an adjustment we're seeing here in the second set. A lot of back row attacks for Stanford. Left side, sent away. The block was strong, and it's Pearson being sent into the nether.
Luke McFall already has a few blocks to his name so far in this one. He's been an important presence at the net as well.
And with Jacob Little-Phillips into the back line, your center is in that back. You got 3 attackers up front. This is where Stanford feels the strongest. You got to keep the momentum here. Miscommunication turning into an overpass.
Great dig by Porter, though.
Setting to the left side. Big rip by Sanui. And an answer from the back row by Bruning. Santa Barbara with the 8-5 advantage.
4 kills already for George Bruning. He's starting to warm up a little bit. That's what the Gauchos are going to need.
It's out of simmer right now. They just turned it up a little bit. That flame went from medium high to full blast. And a full blast on the service attempt from the back line turns into an error as Ben Pearson has the service error. Feels like the momentum has been very much so in the favor of Santa Barbara, but you look up on the board and it's 6 serving 8 now.
Santa Barbara hitting 333, Stanford just 111, but that's going to help.
Snooey with the service ace. The aggressiveness on full display, and on that 5-0 run that Stanford had in that first set, it was Snooey as the initiant in that back line.
That's his second ace so far today, too. Now they've surpassed their total of 2 from yesterday. And that was in 5 sets. We're only early on here in the second set.
Says a lot about conditioning, just a little bit of fatigue setting in. The first thing that goes isn't anything physical, it's always that mental side. So the attack went long, but on that left side of the block, I believe it was Alex Rotman who ended up touching the net. And that's the reason why Santa Barbara gets to the point as they sent out the middle blocker out of Mission Viejo and Josh Aruya.
This is a Santa Barbara team that, they came into this weekend undefeated, taking the first 4 pretty decisively. First time they've gone up against a ranked opponent this year is this weekend.
And a big attack on the left side. Alex Rotman really showing his stuff in the second. Substitution for the Cardinal. Kamana Carrera coming into the back line, and he is the leader in terms of hit percentage for the Card. 3 kills on 5 swings, hitting 600. Back line for Luke McFall, the other middle blocker serving. Right side attack, just a little off pace there. George Bruning with the attacking error. And guess what? Looking up at the big board, 9-9. Stanford just fighting, staying alive, and this is the gritty matchup we expected to see.
A lot of credit to Alex Rotman and his presence at the net. He's got a few kills, got a couple blocks as well.
McFall keeps this one in play. They'll go left side, hiding behind the flare, and a great job by Riggs Guy. Standing at only 6'3", the outside hitter from Newport Beach, just hiding right behind his 6'10" other outside hitter.
Hard to believe that Riggs Guy is only a sophomore, too. He's on the Big West all-freshman team just a season ago, but plays and has a presence really of an upperclassman.
Coach Schobel, one of those other leaders, as a junior. And the attack from the side of Stanford, able to connect. Now we're seeing what we expected to see. Santa Barbara came, took a lot of advantage. They were playing extremely clean volleyball in the first set, but since then, Stanford finding a way to make this gritty as heck.
Kamana Carrera hitting over 600 in this one, too. Just being able to have more options for Stanford going to be huge.
But this is where Stanford starts to struggle a bit. Second consecutive serving error by Moses Wagner when he's taking the back line.
I think it's the timing of the service errors. We know that, especially in men's volleyball, they're going to be aggressive at the service line. But sometimes if it's right after a side out, right after you get a little bit of momentum, it really gives it back to the other side.
Exactly, as you're seeing with Riggs Guy as trading service errors back to 11-11. So now an opportunity for Alex Rotman, who's had a few points in the second set. Good opportunity to get us initiated. Rotman really focusing on the placement of these serves here. put some good power behind this one as well. Out of system attack, having to come to hit it is Ben Pearson. Keeping it alive is Porter. Stanford fighting all the way through. It gets the point. Teo Sanui able to just somehow keep that one alive, catch Santa Barbara a little out of system, and a really gritty point for the card.
We saw moments of that, flashes of that from both sides yesterday too. Just some gritty defense to keep things going, finishing the plays, finishing the rallies. That takes some focus.
That only goes into just athleticism at that point. No time to think, you're just reacting. Great job with the dig in the back line for Rotman. Going to the right side now. Brewing. Right side for the card, Moses Wagner able to capitalize.
And there's the crowd at Maples Pavilion starting to get fired up here. I think Santa Barbara thought that first pass might have grazed on the video board, and the rule is if it touches the video board, stays on your side, you can keep playing. If it crosses over the net onto the other side, the play is over, but not a call, and we did play on.
That's called home field advantage. Just knowing the way it goes, and the video board here in Maples is slightly lower than a lot of the other venues. Like the Thunderdome, for example, is a little bit higher up in the way that it's constructed, so just a little bit of the idiosyncrasies of what you really expect to see when you come and play on an away court.
Yeah, it's sizable, and it is something you enjoy, obviously, from a fan experience perspective. In basketball, it's non-factor typically, but particularly volleyball, it's something to keep in mind.
It looks like they're going to reset, and it will be a point for Stanford. I believe the fans started coming in a little bit later. The serve was at 6. It's 6:40 local time now, and the fans starting to rally in, and you're feeling a lot of great energy coming the way of Maples.
People getting off work, making the trip, fighting through traffic. Top 20 matchup, don't want to miss it.
Rotman to go again. Top of the tape, couldn't quite get it over on the let serve, so the service error from the card makes it 13-12. Stops a 3-0 run. Dylan Pilkvis out of El Segundo, California. One of those freshmen bringing a good amount of size in his own regard, standing at 6'7". Him and his twin brother both playing here for the Gauchos.
2 sets of brothers on this UCSB team. Pretty cool to see.
Great answer by Teo Snui, the senior out of Berkeley, showing the calm composure that you expect to see from one of those upperclassmen on this team.
A lot of California kids on both sides. 14 out of 19 on the Stanford roster. All 20 for UCSB are from California. 5 of them from up here in Northern California. The rest from Southern California.
Service error is being traded there as Kamana Carrera wasn't able to send it over the net. It's going to be 13 serving 14. George Bruning into the back line to get us started. Opportunity for a back row attack. Rotman sent away by the triple block. We saw it with Stanford as they threw up a triple block and weren't able to get the return, but that worked out to perfection for the Gauchos.
Aruya in the front line, that 6'9" frame. Great presence at the net.
Yeah, when you have your tallest player in the back line, you got to dig a little bit deeper and communicate a little bit better to get that block together. That's exactly what Santa Barbara did. Left side in system, a two-handed slam. Teo Snui with the slam dunk.
That was huge. That was what they needed going into this timeout right here. A little bit of momentum and the lead.
15-14, Stanford gets us to the break here. And for Stanford, going ahead and just seeing what Moses Wagner has been able to do to keep everybody in check, just knowing that you got your senior on that right side, able to get a clean setup to him has been a big answer. And then when you needed another helping hand, Snui has came out and really put his mark on the second set.
Snui is really starting to warm up. And now Stanford as a whole, we talked about, it was a tough first set in terms of hitting percentage, but now 353 here in the second set. They are out hitting Santa Barbara, who's at 250. That rhythm that we talked about is starting to come through for the Cardinal.
Yeah, you hit it right on the head. In the first set, it was all Gauchos getting the rhythm, playing very well within system, and then now the tables have turned. It seems like whoever's on that right side of the net has had a little bit of an advantage up to this point.
Stanford hit 0-8-7 in that first set, so to jump up to 353, that's the kind of improvement. If you're head coach John Costi, that's what you want to see.
And that's what you expect to see from a roster that is composed of 10 freshmen and 10 underclassmen and 10 upperclassmen. Sometimes you see the underclassmen side of it. You have some miscommunications, you have some errors here, and then when you're able to flip the page, then you get the upperclassmen aspect of it, where you get that calm composure, you have the ability to communicate, and then you also have the athleticism at the end of the day to come out on top in some of those scraps.
That's a coach's dream, really. No matter what sport, in any way, when you're in the team environment like this, you want that upperclassman leadership to be able to guide the team and enforce the culture, the values, etc. But then you also like that new, young, fresh blood that comes in and maybe gives some different looks and adds some more energy to the squad. That is exactly what you're trying to do when you're out recruiting.
And when you're being recruited to play for Stanford as well, it's not like you can just pick any single person out there. You have to find the cream of the crop academically as well, so that adds a whole nother factor into the whole entire system as well. So that culture and really just that academic presence stands true for the Card as well. Going back over to the right side, Bruning with the first attack after the timeout. A little bit out of system there. Snooey had to reach back, cock back, and get it, but he gets the first point here after the timeout, 16-14.
And on that academic note you just mentioned too, Snooey, we talked about an AVCA All-American Honorable Mention last year, but also a CSC Academic All-District honoree as well. So that balance of athletics and academics, perfect example of it.
Little Phillips continues from the back line here. And that's exactly what you want if you are the Gauchos, an opportunity to get your middle blocker involved. And Aruya continues to have a terrific start to this matchup, hitting above 400. Ben Pearson now to the back line. Pearson, 13 kills in that last matchup. He was a very consistent piece. Ball drifted ever so slightly. Stanford able to keep it in play. Big swing with some power now. Moses Wagner back-to-back attacks, and that's the point for the Card.
Great effort from the libero, Joe Wallace, but just a clean angle, well executed from Stanford.
The first set by Little Phillips drifted ever so slightly. It forced the hand of Wagner, his offhand, to send away that hit, and they're just given another opportunity to get the point. But on the answer with the serve by Snooey, turns into a service error. Now it's Josh Ruya into the back line. Keeping this one in play. Rotman left side gets the kill.
Beautiful placement near the back line. That was read beautifully to find the hole.
Alex Rotman, one of those upperclassmen, a redshirt senior in that same class as people like Wagner that we talked about momentarily. And really just that recruiting class showing itself on full display, able to keep the Cardinal alive and with the advantage here in the second.
Rotman redshirted last year, has an older brother, Will, who was an All-American here at Stanford, so that brother theme is ringing true.
Family ties on both sides. Santa Barbara got the last point here, so they keep this one extremely close. It's 17 serving 18 in a dangerous position here for the Gauchos. Schopel into that back line, 3 attackers up front. This is where you're going to be the strongest offensively and defensively for the Gauchos. Trying to track it down after the errant receive. It was Kai Schmidt not able to fully collect that serve, so it's an ace, making it 18 apiece.
4 aces yesterday for the Gauchos. They now have a couple here tonight. They came into this weekend leading the nation in aces per set, 2.57.
And that takes the whole team. Right side, big swing by Wagner, sent over the net. Great diving dig by Schmidt. And now it's Rotman. Going to the middle attack. Great job by the Gauchos as they take the advantage 19-18.
Seeing some success with Schobel at the line.
Timeout being taken here by Stanford as they lose the advantage, as we said momentarily, 19-18. And now it's both sides. Stanford was playing some pretty clean volleyball up to that point, but at some point the flip was switched by Santa Barbara. They were able to go on a 3-0 run, and they've just been putting a ton of pressure against this defense of the Card.
And that's been a theme so far that we've seen this weekend and really throughout the whole season. UC Santa Barbara is pretty relentless. They don't stop fighting. They come after it, point after point, play after play. And Stanford knew that they were going to do that. This is a top 20 matchup. They're both aware on both sides that it's going to be tough competition.
And you also got to factor in just losing your first matchup to a team and then getting an opportunity to get your comeback right away. That says a lot. Santa Barbara coming in 4-0, losing their first match here on the road, and then now an opportunity to steal this one back. You got to feel like they absolutely want it.
And they've really been operating with a tight-knit group, too. Yesterday, just 8 players who actually saw time on the court for the Gauchos, 13 for Stanford. So the Cardinal trying a few different things. We talked about specifically, too, Little Phillips, newer when it comes to game experience in that setter role. Theron Briette, the senior from San Jose, has been the one leading on that front for the most part. So it does take some time to get a little bit of rhythm. We saw it yesterday, and they look a little bit more in sync today, but the Cardinal still trying to figure that out a little bit.
Yeah, Briette only playing in one match up to the season. That was in the opener against Lewis. From that point, a bit of shuffling and a second consecutive start by Little Phillips. Continuing the 3-0 run is Cole Schobel, the junior out of Costa Mesa, California. Serving 18. Good communication allows Rotman to rip one off the left side. Bruning caught up into the net. A joust won by the Gauchos. Attacking straight into the back line, and it's Ben Pearson with the kill.
That's his third on the night, and he was somebody who started to come on strong yesterday, second on the team with 13 kills. So he's another option that they haven't even gotten going all the way yet.
Schobel again, hitting the top of the tape. He'll get the service ace. Schobel leading the team coming to this one with 11 aces, and he collects another one of the season, forcing a timeout taken by the Cardinal. 2 timeouts burned in the last few points, and it's UC Santa Barbara on a 5-0 run, just putting their pedal to the metal.
Schobel can do it all. We talked about it already. 21 assists on the day, 2 aces, a dig, a couple of blocks, and a kill. He's really the real deal.
Yeah, and as I alluded to at the beginning of this service from Schobel, Schobel in the back line, 3 attackers up front. This is where Santa Barbara is so strong defensively as well as offensively. And then when you can get some of those backline players involved with those back row attacks, it's just you're being berated from every single different angle.
And Santa Barbara has turned it around a little bit too, just within this set. They're now hitting 389. They are just out hitting Stanford, who's at 375, but they were at 250 at the last break, and they've started to come back a little bit.
Yeah, and I believe you brought up the point. I think they were under 100 at one point to begin the second set. So to be able to claw out of that situation, come up, climb up, that just shows the communication on display and just gives you a great opportunity to say, hey, take a look. Our best player is our setter, and he can deliver at any spot on the floor. Up to this point, 4:05 on the evening for UC Santa Barbara throughout the 2 sets. Stanford able to climb up into the mid-200s, hitting 234. Something that I wanted to note as well going into the second set, 14 receives to the 18, or for Santa Barbara to the 18 receives of Stanford. So Stanford has been doing a pretty good job getting under it, getting these receives, getting those digs, but just better opportunities by Santa Barbara able to capitalize within system. Now with the 5-0 run, the score standing 21 serving 18. Schobel has been money here. Back to that starting position. Keeps this one in play with a terrific serve, forcing the overpass. The block was strong, but Santa Barbara found a way to keep it alive. Rotman left side, the joust at the net, full out diving pancake attempt. Little Phillips wasn't able to keep that one in play. We saw earlier in the set, it was Stanford able to get away with some of that gritty play, and now that coin is flipped to the other side for the Gauchos.
A 6-0 scoring run. That is the longest run we have seen throughout this entire weekend, all now into the 7th set we've seen just over 24 hours.
Let's serve here. Setting up the back row attack. Snooey went long.
Right away, all the Stanford players holding up the C for challenge, so head coach John Costi going over to have a chat with the official.
And Stanford will be challenging the touch on the play.
7 video reviews yesterday, several of which did go Stanford's way. They reversed the call and ended up giving some of that momentum to Stanford in big moments. It does change the point spread when you think of it that way. So right now, as it was called on the court, 23-18. If it shifts the other way, all of a sudden it's 19-22. That goes from a 5-point spread to a 3-point spread. It feels a little bit more within reach.
Yeah, absolutely. Currently, as the score stands, it's 23-18. Santa Barbara has taken the advantage here on this run as they're currently on a 7-0 run. But like you said, the spread tightens up. Stanford gets a little momentum back, and all it takes is one play to go your direction, and then everything can go to a landslide from there. The way the challenge system works, you get 2 challenges throughout the first 4 sets, and if you happen to go through the 5th set, then you get a reset. If you win your challenge, you retain it. If you lose it, then you burn essentially 1.
You know, yesterday's victory for Stanford had to be a little extra sweet for John Costi, too, being a UCSB alum himself from the class of 1987. But then when you get some of the challenges on top of that, it's got to feel a little bit extra good.
Oh, I mean, as a broadcaster, you're like, oh, they're challenging again? But as a fan, yeah, absolutely. These matchups have been close. Stanford has the 17-14 advantage over UC Santa Barbara all time. And Stanford currently on a 5-match winning streak where they're 11-6 all time at home, whether that be Maples or Burnham Pavilion. So a lot on the line here. It's pride by the way of John Costi trying to get another victory. This will be a 6th straight over his alma mater. And on the other side, delivering 2 defeats to an undefeated team would be massive. And also getting yourself out of a hole 0-3 to start the season against ranked opponents as well.
And because they didn't play each other, these 2 squads last season, it was back in 2024, the last time they met in Santa Barbara twice. There's only 3 players on this Santa Barbara team that actually have faced Stanford before. And we've seen some of the younger guys come in and make an impact as underclassmen, like Riggs Guy, like Dylan Pilkvist, for example. This is their first taste going up against Stanford, despite there being a long history between the 2 programs.
And after the review, there is no touch. Santa Barbara will take the point, and that is huge as the run will continue. So the score stands 23-18, and that is the first challenge burned out of the pocket of head coach John Costi. Showbowl on the service error. So after 6 consecutive serves, getting points off of them, Stanford finding a little bit of sliver of space to stay alive. 2 lives are remaining for the Cardinal as it's 19 serving 23. Moses Wagner keeps this one in play. One-handed set on the other side of the net. Back row set for the libero, and it's Rotman with the attack. Just a little bit of miscommunication there. Pilkvist having to set up an awkward attack, and a great swing on that right side from the back line. Moses Wagner with the point. 20 serving 23, and more than anything for Wagner, after 2 consecutive service errors at the beginning of this second set of play, it's got to feel good to keep this one in play and be able to capitalize it as well. Timeout taken by UC Santa Barbara. That's their first here in the second set. And little things like momentum mean the world in these situations.
And that was something Stanford struggled a bit with yesterday. Not getting some momentum, but keeping it. That's where the service errors, the timeliness, where they came out was a little bit tough. You side out, you get a point or two, and then you make that service error and you give it right back to the other squad. So if Stanford right now can hang on to some of that momentum late in the second set, they might be able to even it up against a tough Santa Barbara team.
Yeah, in that fourth set, it was super close, and Stanford was able to put on a run of 4-1 to take that advantage. So in this situation, with no breathing, or very little breathing room remaining, that is exactly what you need to do. It'll be 20 serving 23 outside of the timeout. And as we look, Santa Barbara for the first time tonight falling under 400. They're currently at 391 compared to the 220 of Stanford. And really, the service errors have told a lot of the story. 10 service errors by the way of Stanford, 8 service errors by the way of Santa Barbara. So in this situation, as Moses Wagner comes back to the line, do you try to go back to some of your aggressiveness on the service line, or do you just try to keep things alive and keep this one in play and see if you can set up some offense and get within system?
It's an interesting question. Late in the match yesterday, you saw maybe not quite as much power behind from the serves from Stanford because they knew it was so close. It was going to be down to the wire. Every single point counted, especially in that fifth set. So I'm actually curious to see what Coach Costi has to say and what strategy they're going to go with here.
Wagner sent a ton of power on those 2 service errors here in the second set. A little bit less power in that last one. Setting up in less of a high throw there. Still great ball rotation on the drop serve. Flying high with the attack. That was Bruning. Now an opportunity to answer the number 5 on the other side in Rotman. Right side swing off the fingertips. Back row now, Snooey. Couldn't quite collect any hands. Set point here in the second for the Gauchos. Riggs Guy, set point, 24 serving 20. Drop serve in his own regard. Setting middle, quick attack there. That was taken by Carrera. Right side, continue to recycle off the block. Now it's Bruning with the big hit, diving underneath the net, trying to keep that one alive. Rotman unable to do so. 25-20, Santa Barbara riding a 7-0 run, continue to push it over the mountaintop, and they lead the... Yeah, that's been the biggest difference. Both teams have been extremely gritty with the way that they're playing, with the way that they're able to attack out of system, but more than anything, it's been the consistency from the service line of Santa Barbara that has carried them through. They went on a 6-0 run and a 7-0 run, the 6-0 run in the first set, the 7-0 run in the second set, and that has been the difference in the ability for them to get over that hump from yesterday and go up 2-0 to start the third.
Gauchos are out hitting the Cardinal 373 to 189 so far in this match. The leaders, we have seen Riggs Guy as well as George Bruning with 7 kills apiece. Guy hitting 500, and he wasn't even the main option that they went to there in the second set.
Yeah, only 1 kill in that second set, getting him up to 7 to tie up Bruning. And Bruning had 4 kills in that situation. Cardinal did a really good job against him yesterday, holding him to 0-0-4, but today coming out, hitting 267, a lot more of an efficient showing from the redshirt sophomore out of Newport Beach.
And 3 total players in addition to Guy. There's 2 others that are hitting 500, Josh Aruya and Dylan Pilkvist as well for the Gauchos. Stanford, they've relied on Moses Wagner as they did yesterday. And at the service line now, Theron Briette making his presence known. First point gonna go to the Gauchos, but that's the first we've seen of Briette since that home opener.
Riggs Guy coming out and getting the kill, and it's almost like they heard us talking about that in that situation. But substitution here, seeing Theron Briette for the first time since that first matchup against Lewis. It's going to be really interesting to see how the Cardinal handle that switch up at center in that situation, and if the veteran presence of Briette is able to carry forward.
Service error from Schobel. He's got a couple of aces tonight, but okay, he's human. We're tied up at 1 here in the third set.
Yeah, his 6 consecutive serves in that last matchup might have tired out that arm.
Mentioned about Briette, too, the senior out of San Jose, MPSF academic team last season. Big time swing there from the Gauchos. That's going to be another one for Pilkvist.
And you felt pretty comfortable in that rotation the last few times in the first set. One of the spots where Stanford had a lot of success with Snooey at that backline serving, but unable to get the point there.
Now Riggs Guy at the line. Here's the setup from Briette. Right into the block. The Gauchos tack on another one. Also of note, Eric Ask is now on court. He made an appearance yesterday, the freshman out of Sweden for the Cardinal.
Yeah, hadn't made an appearance since that first matchup against Lewis. A lot of the freshmen coming in here, and it's a very similar situation to what we saw in that first matchup against Lewis, down 0-2, just trusting your rotation for Coach Costi.
Ask had 4 kills yesterday. Here's Wagner. Into the block! Once again, the Gauchos put up the wall.
So the blocking situation had been a little off the mark for both teams to start. When you look at it, only 4 blocks going into this third set for Santa Barbara, 5 blocks for the Cardinal, and coming out early, just really proving their physicality on that side for Santa Barbara to start.
The 4-1 advantage for the Gauchos. Here's Ask. Into the wall, it's gonna go out of play. Santa Barbara continues that momentum. It's a 4-0 scoring run.
Feeding the freshman a couple times in a row, Eric Ask hasn't necessarily been on the same page, just a little out of system and not able to fully cock back and let it rip.
Guy again, solid serve.
What a serve.
Short set, handled. Communication there, Pearson, but Briette with the dig. Here's Ask, pushes it over. Opportunity for the Gauchos. Bruning into the triple block. Bruning again. Tools the block this time. Gauchos win the rally.
He went up the first time, got a good look at it, and then the second time, targeting that freshman on that right-hand side of the block for him. And that is a veteran move on display for the redshirt sophomore.
That's a 5-0 scoring run. Not a surprise to see the timeout called on the Stanford side. The Gauchos up by 5. And this is a Santa Barbara team that compete in the Big West since 2018. Prior to that, they were also a part of the MPSF, as Stanford is, but they were picked tied for 4th out of the 6 teams that are in the Big West in the preseason pool. Long Beach State, the defending national champs, picked to win it, then Hawaii and Irvine, but then Cal State Northridge, UC Santa Barbara, UC San Diego, all tied in the bottom half there. So it should be an interesting one in that conference slate this year.
Yeah, 2 incredibly talented teams in extremely tough conferences. And man, when you got teams like Hawaii and Long Beach State, it's so hard to compete.
And these are the types of matchups that are going to help both teams get ready for that conference slate too, because on Stanford's side in the MPSF, they were picked 4th out of the 10 teams in that conference. UCLA picked to take their potential 5th straight conference championship. Pepperdine and USC after that. And then of course there's Stanford ahead of BYU, Concordia, Menlo, Vanguard, Jessup, and UC Merced.
Yeah, a couple more matchups to get everything, get your I's dotted and your T's crossed as you take on UC Irvine in the next few matchups next weekend, and then you get right into MPSF play where you take on Jessup at home on the 6th. Stanford just doing their best to figure out some of these rotations with some of the old and some of the new.
And a shorter runway for Stanford because it's a larger conference with 10 teams. A shorter preseason before conference starts, whereas the Big West will start on March 6th against UC San Diego for the Gauchos. Back out of the break. There's Snooey. He'll answer. Stanford with the first point.
That's what we've been seeing out of timeouts. Every time Stanford has taken a timeout, they've tried to look for some of their veteran leadership to go ahead and get them that dire point.
Teo Snooey has been one to rely on. 7 kills tonight. Couple of aces at the line. Reed Wainwright, he got the match clinching ace yesterday. Snooey with the set. Wagner with the swing, great effort. Gauchos keep it alive. There's Bruning, he'll tool the block. UCSB wins the rally.
That is a full team effort on display by the Gauchos. The communication to set it up, the athleticism to track down that ball, and the great placement on the out-of-system attack, allowing Bruning to just do his job and swing away.
Bruning was Big West honorable mention and made the freshman team a season ago.
A Big West all preseason selection as well. The only one on this UCSB roster.
There's Bruning again. And the kill once again. Bruning, double digits now tonight, the match high.
Bruning had 50 swings that led the team in total attacks in that last matchup yesterday. And as they continue to go back to him, you can see him evolving.
Pushed over by Wagner. From the back row, right into the wall. Pamana Carrera on top of it.
Third block solo of the season for Carrera. And that is where Stanford needs to go ahead and take some of the momentum back. You gotta show your strength, and at this point, you just gotta go ahead and try to get as many hands on that ball to stop some of this hard hitting of Santa Barbara.
3 serving 8 now, Moses Wagner at the line. Right at the net, Aruya with the perfect angle.
Zero tempo on full display, just eye contact before that ball got into a spot. Terrific job on the receive, and that setup works to perfection.
This is also a Santa Barbara team. They finished tied for 4th in the regular season in the Big West, lost in the first round in the conference tournament. They got a bit of a chip on their shoulder coming into this season. Want to go a little bit further. There's Ask. And the dig. Back set. Big time swing. Bruning once again.
Bruning is taking over this third set. He's going ahead. They're force feeding him everything, and he is paying it off. On the other side of the net, Eric Ask got his first real big ability to swing away at that one. Nearly got the kill.
7-point lead for the Gauchos. Set over to Wagner, a lot of power. Big dig. Here's Pearson. Wagner keeps it alive. Briette, cross court to Ask.
Yeah, just getting into the net on the set in that situation for Schobel. And the point will go back over to Stanford.
Bit of a break for the Cardinal. They'll take it. 10-4 as Eric Ask now will go back to the line.
Ask with 2 aces to 1 service error on the season.
Gets it over. Over to Pearson. Tools the block again.
Like a rocket coming right into our vicinity.
Gotta have your head on a swivel here on the sidelines at Maples.
I always talk about volleyball being a contact sport. That's not necessarily just for the players on the court, it's everybody involved.
Ben Pearson now with 4 kills tonight, hitting .231. At the line, near ace there it is. The 4th ace of the night for the Gauchos.
And the body language on full display with a huge advantage of 8 points in the situation. Just all smiles and everybody's loose and flowing for Santa Barbara. On the other side, a huddle for the Cardinal, trying to tighten things up and over-communicate.
Another strong serve. Overpass goes out of bounds. The Gauchos are rolling.
You can hear Schobel yelling out, out, out in that situation as Bruning came under it. So more communication working on display of Santa Barbara, and everything is working in their favor tonight.
And that's a glimpse of the communication they've had all season long. You can see where that success came from, the 4-0 run to start their season coming into this weekend. Of course, they were also at home. This is the first time they've been on the road all year. So yesterday, that 5 sets, great experience for this squad to have together. They had the A6 Invitational that they hosted to kick off the season, and they've done that for quite a long time, every year since 1965, except for the cancellation back in 2021. So over 60 years they've done that.
Really speaks to the talent and the level of volleyball played all across the great state of California.
That's why so many on both teams are from this state. Really a hotbed for men's volleyball.
Yeah, when you look across the board and It's essentially this Illinois, California, and Hawaii are the three main staples of men's volleyball.
It's a top 20 matchup this early in the season, getting back-to-back chances, going after each other. In the preseason, Stanford in the top 10. They were ranked 9th, then they were 11, now 14 this week. Santa Barbara has stayed steady at number 17, but now they're trying to get that first ranked win of the season that might boost them.
And that's the biggest difference in the situation. 4 non-ranked matchups for UC Santa Barbara to start the season. And on the other side, Stanford, 4 ranked matchups inside of the top 20 to get your season kicked off.
Coming out of the break, the 9-point lead for the Gauchos. They have 13 to Stanford's 4.
And both timeouts taken now for Stanford. No more opportunities to stop it.
And Briette setting it up to Snooey, who pushes it over. That's going to fall in. The Cardinal will take it. Side out Stanford.
Terrific read for Snooey in that situation. He came out, he set up like he was going for a big attack, and then realized the timing was off, and just the veteran presence by the senior, able to collect himself, go down, send it over with 2 hands, and not just throw it over, trying to keep the play alive, aiming that pass over the net.
Now at the line, Luke Morrison once again. We saw him earlier on, the freshman. Schobel with the dump. Perfectly read, perfectly executed. That's his second kill today.
And that's what you expect to see out of Schobel. We talk about how good he can be as an attacker out of system, but when you give him an opportunity to dunk the ball over, you've got to keep tabs on that man all night long. Can't lose focus at all.
He's got 29 assists, 4 digs, a couple of aces, couple of blocks, in addition to those 2 kills. There's Snooey. Schobel sets it up, push over. Briette over to Snooey again, that goes wide. First to 15, the UCSB Gauchos.
We've seen that a few times tonight for Snooey. Cross-court cut shot, just can't quite keep it in play.
The 10-point lead now with Aruya at the service line. What a message the Gauchos could potentially send after losing in the 5th set yesterday, coming back with the sweep, but someone has something else to say about it. Reed Wainwright stepping up for the Cardinal.
In this situation for the Card, they need to go ahead and try to find some momentum and continue to pile it on. You can't trade points when you're down by this many.
Here's Briette to serve. Schobel sets it up. Briette to Snooey, finds the floor. Stanford showing some fight.
And that's where Snooey's been his best tonight. It hasn't necessarily been on those set-up power attacks. It's been on his craftiness and his ability to create when things aren't perfect. Right there, just offhand with the attack.
Another strong serve from Briette. Back set, over to Bruning, tools the block. Santa Barbara gets some momentum back. They extend the lead to 9 once again.
And that is how you know everything is going the direction of the Gauchos tonight. Full power attack, just trying to power through the block. You know, just happens to go out of bounds, able to tool it out at the end of the day.
Here's Schobel, southpaw.
Dangerous situation here.
Action at the net. Wainwright went for it, ran right into it.
Block solo right there in the middle for the freshman and Dylan Pilkvis, pardon me. But as I was saying a moment ago, Schobel in this backline was the result of that 7-0 run. This is where you're extremely strong in your front line, and the freedom and the ability to place it anywhere for Schobel in the backline just makes them such a threat.
Cross court to Wagner. Schobel with the short set, executed perfectly. Dylan Pilkvis continues.
A quicker tempo there by Pilkvis, able to get the opportunity. But once again, it's that communication on that first receive, getting over to your setter, and that nonverbal eye communication between Schobel and Pilkvis, able to set up that, let's call it, first tempo hit.
Talked about Dylan and Ryan Pilkvis, brothers on this team. The twins, Ashton and Ethan Saint, on this Gauchos team. Jason Walmer also had an older brother, Jack, who graduated last year on the team. See a recruiting strategy there for McLaughlin. Set up for Bruning, the touch. It'll work. The Gauchos continue to extend that lead.
Bruning is feasting. 13 kills, hitting above 400 now. So he's dug himself out of that start where he was hitting about 180.
Ryan Duras, the senior from Gilroy, also on the court for the Cardinal. Service error goes long. So the Cardinal catch a break. Now 19-8 as Duras heads to the line.
Stops that 4-0 run from Santa Barbara. And I want to go back to something that you touched on in the first set. The rotation for Santa Barbara, only one rotational player has started. It's been the starters getting everything done.
Perfectly read by Wainwright. Stanford crawling back. That's right, only the 8 players in total that have seen time for the Gauchos, but Stanford, 13 yesterday, even more today. They're trying different things.
Ryan Duras checking in, something a little different we haven't seen up to this point.
That's a big swing. Riggs Guy bringing it back to UCSB. They're the first to 20.
And that's got to feel so good for Riggs Guy. Riggs Guy was the person that had that receive that turned into the overpass and the point on the last time. So the ball comes right back in your way. You know you can get that point.
He'll head to the line. There's a setup to Wagner. He'll tool the block and get to double digits for the Cardinal.
Caught him a little off guard, only sending one blocker in the direction of Moses Wagner. And you give me a one-on-one, I'm taking Wagner any time of the week.
Wagner and Snooey both flirting with double-digit kills in this one. George Bruning, a match-high 13. Here's Kneissel. And it's oh so nice. The ace for Carson Kneissel.
First service errors in that matchup yesterday, comes back in a huge moment, able to get the service ace. Cardinal just continuing to go deeper and deeper into their bench.
Schobel with the back set over to Bruning. He just keeps on brewing.
We were talking about the water temperature earlier. It's on a full-on boil.
14 kills tonight. He's hitting around 450 on this entire match. Guy right behind him with 9 kills, about the same in terms of hitting percentage. Really solid performance. They're hitting 591 here in the third set, the Gauchos. In there, Stanford answers. That was Ethan Saint at the line for UCSB, the sophomore.
And the Carrera getting the answer. I would not be surprised if Stanford starts trying to force feed their middles, just going with tempo and trying to go with your highest percentage attacks.
Cardinal hitting 120 in this set. Here's Pearson, runs into it. Gauchos will reset. Here's Bruning. Long on the back line. What beautiful placement. 15 kills for Bruning. He's tied yesterday's total, and that was 5 sets. We're only in the third here.
Looks like there might be a challenge by Stanford on a touch on that last play. Men's volleyball season is also basketball season, and the best way to really explain Cole Schobel's game is he is like a point guard. He can score when he needs to, but just his ability to set up his players, dish out plays, and just get you in the right spot for success, that has been the biggest difference tonight. Schobel, 34 assists. And this third set isn't even over.
And you said it, he's got a tally in every category. The assists, of course, which is a match high. 2 aces, 2 blocks, 2 kills, 5 digs, just contributing in every possible way.
That's the difficult situation here. Everybody firing on full for Santa Barbara, and on the other side, you're just throwing pieces in there, trying to see if something sticks. And at this point, for the Cardinal, I really like what Coach Costi is doing, just putting some of your other players in there and allowing them the opportunities to show off what you've got. We saw it in that in the first match against Lewis, where late in that set, just some of the freshmen came in and played nearly the entirety of that third set. And then now in the situation, just use the preseason for what it's meant to be. It's meant to be a filler, to be able to get yourself situated, dot your I's, cross your T's, and get yourself started out for conference play.
It looks like the call gonna be reversed. Stanford will get the point. So it'll be 13 serving 21 with Wagner at the line.
Coach Costi still has a challenge into his pocket. Burned the first one. One remaining.
Over to Aruya, catches the top of the net and finds the floor.
Once again, tempo, tempo, tempo. Floating in mid-ear was the 6'9" Josh Aruya before that set even came, and that delivery came on the swing.
That has been successful for the Gauchos so far this weekend, that short set in the middle.
Owen Loncar now.
Yeah. Owen Loncar, the senior at the service line. We saw him come in yesterday. That'll go into the net. That's the 11th service error for the Gauchos tonight.
And on the other side for Coach McLaughlin, hey, send in some of your other players as well, giving them opportunities as you've got a great situation up 22-14.
Nothing replaces match experience. There's Ask at the line.
Especially in a ranked matchup.
Out of system, there's Loncar. Back set over to Wagner. Big dig from Guy.
Yeah, just that one-handed stab.
Here's Pearson. Runs into the block. Kamana Carrera once again.
And Pearson's been the one player that hasn't really gotten their offensive game going for Santa Barbara. He's got 4 kills on 14 swings, but everybody else seems like they're just firing on full display. But for him, it seems like he's had to try very hard for every single one of his points.
He had 13 yesterday. Into the block, trying to recover. Pearson keeps it alive.
But that's why you keep Pearson
up.
That's why you keep Pearson on the court. His defensive effort has been on full display.
DeRoss into the block. Here's Wagner. Right into the wall, the triple block. Successful.
One-on-one, I'll take Wagner. But in that situation with the triple block, it is so difficult trying to power through it. Caught a little too low on the fingers as he was aiming for those high hands, sent away.
Pearson now at the line, 23, serving 15. Kamana Carrera finds the floor. Stanford still alive.
And once again, that's your high percentage attacks, and that's why you got your senior and Briette in there in that situation. Briette understanding, hey, I can't go for a big flashy play. I got to go back to my higher percentage plays, go to my middle, and just keep this one alive anyhow, anyway.
And Carrera at the line here. Floats it over. Schobel. Sets it up. Once again, over to Guy. Finds the floor, and it is match point for the Gauchos. They lead by 8, going for the sweep and the comeback. Revenge victory potential.
And that last play was a little strange. Just the energy in the building almost seemed a little quiet, and Santa Barbara almost lulled Stanford to sleep. So substitution here.
Andreas Schutz, the senior out of Santa Barbara, also went to Santa Barbara High School, one of the 3 on this Gaucho squad. Played at Santa Barbara City College and Long Island University prior to this.
Only his 2nd appearance on the season.
There's Briette to Wagner. Big dig from Pearson. Miscommunication, staying alive with the free ball.
And that was the newly checked-in player with that miscommunication.
Here's Wagner. It's a dig from Loncar, hits the video board, we play on. Pearson gets the touch and seals the deal. Riggs Guy puts the exclamation point in the sweep for the Gauchos in their first ranked win of the season.
Santa Barbara made every single adjustment possible going into this matchup. They get the win back, so it's 1-1. And more importantly for Santa Barbara, they get that first ranked victory and they break the 5-match winning streak of Stanford.
Santa Barbara improves to 5-1 on the season. Stanford now 1-4 overall. A decisive campaign for the Gauchos, 25-19, 25-20, and 25-16 to get the sweep and bust out the brooms. Of course, they were led by George Bruning with 14 kills. He hit 400 tonight. Close behind him, Riggs Guy, who ended that last set, 11 kills, hitting 474 tonight.
And for Stanford to bounce back after this one, you've got 2 on the road out in Irvine. But more than anything, it's just continuing to work on your stock pot. You have all these different ingredients. You gotta learn how many pieces and flavors to put in there to make a delicious tasting stew. And as they continue throughout the preseason, that's exactly what they'll continue to do.
And Teo Snooey and Moses Wagner led the Cardinal tonight with 9 kills apiece. Both hit sub 150. So getting them going a little bit more will be something to look at for the Cardinal. You said it, UC Irvine coming up next for the Cardinal. They will play against them next weekend, January 30th and 31st. Santa Barbara will move on and continue their preseason run, hosting BYU the 29th and the 30th. Any final thoughts, Max, on this matchup?
Youth and experience continue to mix, and eventually you'll get something that works out at the end of the day if you just keep fighting, keep communicating, and keep working together.
Yeah, Rick McLaughlin's squad has plenty of momentum to take with them. John Costy's group going to regroup together and get ready for the rest of the season. Thank you all for joining us here in Maples Pavilion, and excited